Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight. We thank you for your mercies that are new every morning. We thank you, Lord, for the privilege that we have to live in such a great country where citizens have rights and we can come together and have discussions and pass laws and ordinances that help the people, to protect the people. When I come to a meeting like this, I always think of Psalms 133 that says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." I pray over this council, I pray over the citizens of this city to let us have unity together. And Lord, I pray that any ordinances that are passed and discussions and things that are for the people, that will be for your word and with your word, not against your word. I pray give wisdom to these leaders, give peace, and bring unity. And we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And for those who don't know, Pastor Sluter is with Central Avenue Church of God. And I know the holidays are coming up, and they have a big Christmas tree, live Christmas trees, and they give back to the community through that Christmas tree program. So if you're out his way, he would appreciate you jumping in there and getting one of his great Christmas trees. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Gina, would you start us off? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nina, would you please call the roll?
Councilperson Alvarez?
Here.
Councilperson Jaworski?
Here.
Councilperson Geisers?
Here.
Councilperson Clem? Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Glilly?
Here. I'm here.
We have the approval of minutes from September the 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Tonight we have some proclamations. President Jaworski.
First one is on breast cancer. Madam Mayor, would you read that one?
I would be happy to read that. City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation to whom these presents may come greetings. Whereas breast cancer is one of the most commonly diagnosed cancers among women, and whereas nationally more than 168,000 women and an unknown number of men are living with metastatic breast cancer, a devastating stage of breast cancer that occurs when cancer spreads beyond the breast to other parts of the body, including the bones, lungs, liver, brain, and whereas due in part to a lack of awareness, men are generally diagnosed with breast cancer at a stage later than women, which affects prognosis and treatment. And whereas many organizations, including the American Cancer Society and Susan G. Komen for the Cure, hold community events promoting awareness, raise funds to research and provide progress on how breast cancer is diagnosed and treated. And whereas in 2023, nearly 300,000 new cases of breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed. And whereas through research and advocacy, advances have been made in the fight against breast cancer, including an increased rate of early detection. And whereas the month of October is designated as Breast Cancer Awareness Month to promote education and awareness, as well as to honor those who have lost their lives to breast cancer and support those currently fighting it. Therefore, I, Sue I. Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Portage and encourage all our residents to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent and control breast cancer and pay tribute to those who have lost their lives to this disease. In testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana this 3rd day of October, 2023.
The next one is on fire prevention. Colin, would you take that one?
Certainly. City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation. To all to whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas The City of Portage is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Portage, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas residents should identify places in their home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards, and whereas residents should install working smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home, and whereas residents should listen for the sound of the smoke alarm, and when it sounds, respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place, and whereas residents who have planned and practice a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And whereas our first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2023 Fire Prevention Week theme, Cooking Safety Starts With You, Pay Attention to Fire Prevention, works to educate everyone about simple but important actions they can take to keep themselves and those around them safe when cooking. Therefore, I, Sue I. Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim the week of October 8th to 14th, 2023 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Portage, and urge all residents and visitors to be aware of their surroundings, engaged in fire-safe practices, and support the many public safety activities of the Portage Fire Department during Fire Prevention Week and all year long. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana this 3rd day of October, 2023.
And the last one is on pregnancy and infant loss. City of Portage, Office of the Mayor, Portage, Indiana, proclamation. To all to whom these presents may come, greetings. Whereas pregnancy and infant loss is such a common occurrence, one that is usually not recognized. And whereas many Portage, Indiana parents and families have suffered a miscarriage, a stillbirth, or the death of an infant during delivery or shortly after birth. And whereas this devastating tragedy often occurs suddenly, without warning, as a result of miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, accident, or other causes or complications. And whereas Portage, Indiana wishes to acknowledge the profound grief experienced by families who suffer the death of a baby. And whereas Portage, Indiana wishes to acknowledge the existence of the babies and infants that died far too early. And whereas even the shortest lives are still valuable, and the grief of those who mourn the loss of these lives should not be trivialized. And whereas the 15th day of October is recognized in parts of the United States and in many other jurisdictions around the world as a day of remembrance and awareness of pregnancy and infant loss. And whereas the tragedy of pregnancy and infant loss, which exacts a terrible emotional toll, may be preventable in some instances. And whereas increased awareness of the causes and impacts surrounding pregnancy and infant loss may lead to greater understanding, support, and resources in communities across the country. And whereas a month of remembrance honors the lives of children taken far too soon and supports grieving parents, grandparents, siblings, and other family members whose lives are forever altered by the heartbreak of losing a child. And whereas those parents and families require support and understanding during their time of grief. And whereas promoting awareness of the challenges faced by those parents and families is a positive means of establishing support and understanding. And whereas recognizing Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Remembrance Month would enable the people of Portage, Indiana to consider how as individuals and communities they can meet the needs of bereaved mothers, fathers, and family members and work to prevent the causes of these deaths. Therefore, I, Sue I. Lynch, Mayor of the City of Portage, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2023 as National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in the City of Portage and encourages parents, caregivers, and all residents to become educated in opportunities to prevent pregnancy and infant loss and support bereaved families when prevention is not possible. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the City of Portage in the state of Indiana this 3rd day of October 2023.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, I'm still on to announcements because we have a really exciting announcement that our Port Authority has been working on. And so I'm going to ask the President of the Port Authority Jeff Fleming to come and tell you the good news. And Steve Nelson, who's on the Port Authority. The twosome.
Hey, gang, been a while. I may have been down, but I'm not out. I'm here with Jeff tonight. Barb Lusko is down. She's very sick. Usually she's here to give the reports for us, so Jeff and I kind of filling in for her. And as the mayor said, we have a special announcement tonight. We have been working on a project for many years up there. Beginning of this year, we put together a grant proposal for 4 projects that we thought were very important to our master plan that we adopted in 2014. Through the process, we had to go through a lot of different steps. One was developing this literature, which I'll leave some up here on the table if you want to see these things. On the 4 projects, we were able to get some ground through the help of Avonmarsh to secure or start the process to receive a grant from Indiana DNR and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. A lot of processes that we went through in that. The final process about 2 weeks ago was a public input process, of which we received 165 positive comments and 14 negative comments for this project. Early last week, we got a notice that the grant had been approved. This is a federal grant, okay, from the U.S. Department of Interior through the Sport Fish Restoration Act. This grant is a significant part of our Marina Master Plan. And of the $1,127,256, the grant is going to provide to the city of Portage and its citizens $845,442 to make us a handicap-accessible fishing pier next to the Isaac Walton Club. Special thanks to the mayor for her support and our council liaison, Ferdinand. Thank you both so much.
Congratulations, guys. I think when I came on the council, this was a discussion, and so it's a long time coming, and a lot of hard work went into it, so congratulations. And kudos to Barb, who is under the weather today, so she's watching, though, so hi, Barb. That's the end of my announcements. Clerk Treasurer, do you have any reports?
No, just further down the agenda, there's some additionals, and then the public hearing for the budget.
We're working on the speaker.
Speaker's not working.
Hello? Hello?
Check, yeah, there's on. It's on there.
Okay, we have reports from standing committees.
I'll give, ordinance committee meets every month before the council meeting, so we met before the meeting tonight. The only thing on our agenda was an issue that will come up later on the agenda, which is amending the city's responsible bidding ordinance, so we'll talk about more of that later.
Thank you, Brian. Budget?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The Budget Committee has been extremely busy. We have met with all the department heads, and they have provided us their initial request for the 2024 budget. As with any budget, we have to balance that budget with anticipated revenue, and it looks like we're going to have to reduce our budget about $1.8 million, and we're beginning to look at that so we can present a balanced budget in 2024. So we will be following up with the department heads. The Budget Committee will initially meet with the Clerk Treasurer to discuss some areas that we could potentially reduce. As I stated, it looks like we have to reduce our budget based on the request about $1.8 million. So tonight, I will be reading the notice to taxpayers for the proposed 2024 budget as we move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Frank. Reports from city officials. Chief Candiano. Do you have Tilly coins with you, Chief?
You gotta put me on the spot, huh? I was supposed to bring them.
So you can talk about them. We got one here.
Yeah, we do have Tilly coins. So if anybody wants them, I can get them to you, or you can stop by the station and we can get those to you. We also have some Tilly, like player cards, almost like baseball cards to hand out. So when we go into the schools, we're getting those handed out to people. So as you guys probably know, Tilly is way more popular than me. I love having her around, but I think there's a little bit of an issue with who's really in charge. So, and apparently it's not me. So, yeah, I do have some coins. I'll get those to you guys. I had one job today and I failed that. So, so to the less important stuff. So total incidents for the month of September, we were at 2,877. That puts us at an average of 95.9 a day. So our high this year was in July, which kind of makes sense, summer months. We were at 113. So it's come down pretty significantly. Whether it stays there or not, we'll see. Like I've told you all before, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. It'll be a 50-degree cloudy Monday and we're busy as all get out, and it'll be a 80-degree beautiful sunny day and we have no calls. So, but usually this is the time of year where it does start trending down a little bit. So. So year to date, we're sitting at 27,978 total incidents. So a little update on our hiring staffing. We recently extended job offers to 3 candidates. We're waiting for perf approval on those. Usually takes 4 to 6 weeks or so for those to get sent downstate and get approved back. So thinking maybe within, or should be within the next 2 months, we'll be able to hire those 3 individuals as long as something doesn't occur with perf, but everything looks good there. This leaves us still with 3 current openings. We're again conducting a hiring process. Standard line when we come in here. We've just, with all the retirements and things, we just kind of been in this state of hiring. So we are doing that again. Taking those apps currently, and I believe the testing process for that is the first weekend in November, I believe. We also have 5 officers currently at the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. 1 on major illness and 1 on workman's comp. So basically all that equates to, we are currently 12 officers short today in patrol and 1 short in the detective bureau. So we're basically running with 13 officers short because of that limbo period of not being hired or being, trying to hire and then being at the academy, because obviously they're not, while they're training, they're not able to come out and work with us. So again, we're about 13 short right now. Bunch of different community events. I probably missed a couple, but I got a couple of the highlights here. We did participate with the Portage High School homecoming game and parade, Labor Fest, Bacon Fest. Valparaiso Police Department, City of Valparaiso reached out and asked for extra assistance at Popcorn Fest. We had 7 or 8 officers worked that. It's paid through Valpo, but such a large event, they were concerned about security, so we were able to help out a neighboring city with that. We had our canines at the Castle Pet event recently. We've been in the schools a ton with Tilly, with officers going in, just meeting with kids in addition to the SROs. Done some job fair type things. We've been in the schools a lot now that school's back up and going. We also had some officers walk with the Porter County Coalition, doing a neighborhood canvas, formerly the Substance Abuse Council, getting out information as far as resources to them and stuff, walking neighborhoods, so we participated in that. And we hung out at Rittenhouse a couple weeks ago now. I think I've lost track, but a week or so ago. Had a nice lunch there, visited with some of the residents there, so that was a nice thing we were able to do. 2 promotions in our reserve division. Bob Anderson has been named the reserve lieutenant, and Darren Robinson was named a reserve sergeant. Both of them have put in a ton of time, donating their time to the different events in the city, coming out, helping out with patrol, different things like that. You've probably had some contact with them for all the different city events, so I thought it was time to give them some recognition and a little bit more of a leadership role within the reserve division. So, purchased some new equipment recently. We purchased 2 new drones, which are able to fly in buildings. The reason this is important is because, you know, there's a lot of situations where we go and we don't really know what we're walking into. There's an unknown. And sometimes with like a SWAT call out or some of these other instances, it does not pay, it's not beneficial for anybody to rush into the building or the house or whatever, not know what's going on in there. It puts everybody in a bad situation. We had a robot that we were using, I believe we got through military surplus. It's coming down to end of life. The cost on those to replace it was pretty exorbitant. So we made an appeal to the redevelopment commission, and they were able to purchase these drones. And we can, like I said, we can fly them in buildings, we can fly them in houses. So pretty cool thing to have so that we can get an idea of what we're walking into before we go in there. I think there'll probably be some applications for other city departments too because of the ability to fly them in buildings. So we're pretty excited about that. Update on the police social worker. We got a ton of good responses, got a ton of applications. We are starting to sift through those now. Probably get going on an interview process here pretty soon, and hopefully be making a job offer here within the next couple of weeks. Watch on our Facebook page. I'm going to put some information out on traffic stops, the amount of traffic we have in the city, some stuff like that. There's been a lot of chatter on social media. Interestingly, there's people saying that we don't stop enough cars, and there's people saying we stop too many cars. So, so instead of arguing either one of those points, I'm just going to put out some data as far as what we do and the amount of vehicles that come through the city. So that should be out in the next day or so if you're so inclined to look at that. So, and the last thing I just want to say, I just want to throw out some appreciation to all our officers. Like I said, we're running 13 short right now. Even though we're down, we're still running 95, 96 calls a day. It's a lot of workload, and as you know, a lot of those calls require more than one officer. So a lot of these officers are going to multiple calls all day long. So just want to give them a little shout out for working a little shorthanded and appreciate what they do. So, any questions? Okey doke.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief Wilkening? Thanks, Steve.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So it's interesting that the 3 proclamations that you read tonight pretty much hit home to the fire department for all 3 of them. First of all, thank you so much for the proclamation for fire prevention. We really think it definitely helps that getting the word out, telling people how to be safe, and it really keeps our fires down, and that's a benefit to all of us. The other one is, as far as breast cancer awareness, as you can tell, this is our October uniform. All the duty crews wear pink the whole month, so that's for breast cancer awareness. So I'm sure just about everyone has been touched by it, so we take it very seriously, and we make sure we do that every year. And then the third topic was the infant loss, and Chief Kodachek and myself, we sit on the Porter County Child Fatality Review Committee, so we review all of those, and especially the infants. That's the majority of the deaths in the county. And also we are in a committee that is trying to prevent that. So we're working with the state, county officials. It's led by the county coroner and the prosecutor. And what we do is we meet to try to figure out different programs. So we have right now, we've got a whole bunch of cribs and swaddlers and some other things that we have for that specific purpose. And what we're doing into the committee is we're trying to figure out exactly what kind of programs we can do to get them out in the community. So look for that in the very coming future, but we're really hoping to keep down the infant fatalities because one is too many. As far as our call volume goes, same as Chief Candiano, we're down a little bit last month. It seems like once everybody starts going back to school and the summer's over, people settle down a little. We had 431 total calls, 294 were ambulance, Thankfully, no structure fires last month, and we had 7 mutual aid calls come into the city for an ambulance. So that puts us at 4,136 total calls. 2,942 of those were ambulance and 21 structure fires. Our total also is 59 mutual aid calls that have came into the city. Again, just for reference, last year at this time, we had 233 mutual aid calls come into the city. So a little bit of the calls down, but the third rescue has definitely helped us out. As far as our personnel go, we do have 6 people in the fire academy right now. They are at the MAC. Their expected completion date is December 1st, and then they'll be returning to the turn and be able to help us out that way. We are still that one person short, so he's being processed, and he just went down for his physical, so hopefully in the next month or 2 he will be able to be hired and start on turn. Unfortunately, we did have another resignation. Tyler White, he is a 2-year member of our department. He did resign. He's moving to Nevada. He's going to work out there, so yeah, where his family is. So unfortunately, we don't have any qualified people to replace him on our list, but you know, we always do take applications all year long, and next month we're scheduled to form another list too. So I talked to Assistant Chief DeYoung, and he said we've actually got quite a few applications. Hopefully we can make a decent sized list, because we'll be needing them for retirements next year also. As far as our vehicle status, we do have all of our vehicles back and in service, so that's a good thing. The new engine is still on track to be here at the first of the year, and we are working with the Board of Works to get approval for a new ambulance. So hopefully next week we'll get approval and we'll get that ordered next week. And of course, the assistance to firefighters federal grant, we're still waiting on word. So the only good news is that we haven't been told we don't have it. So as far as our training goes, our tactical paramedics did participate with the SWAT team in their week-long training. We have been doing some normal training, but most of our time this past month has been spent. We try to do our fire prevention a little bit early. So at the end of September, we try to do all of our fire prevention. So we were in the schools. So that leads into my community involvement. We did fire prevention this last month. So we were able to get into all the grade schools. Kudos to all of the staff. They did an excellent job. They went in there and got with the kids. What they do is our firefighters, they teach the kindergarten class, just teach them not to be afraid, and what our gear looks like, and the old Darth Vader motto, just so they're not afraid of us, because that's how it sounds when we're coming after them. And then all of our crews eat lunch with the kids, and that seems to be the biggest hit in the world, boy. Because they're not in a class, the teachers aren't telling them to be quiet, and they talk and talk and talk, and the stories these kids tell. And the questions. It's a lot of fun, and it's entertaining for both the kids and the firefighters, so everyone seems to enjoy it, so we have a lot of fun doing that. And then Division Chief Chris Kender, he does a program with the kids, and basically what he does is he builds on a program each year, so first grade, second grade, you know, so he keeps building up on it. Unfortunately, this year was Chief Kender's last year of fire prevention, because he's been doing this 22 years. He's been our fire inspector, so he's retiring in July, so this was his last hurrah. So just wanted to tell Chris that we all thank him for all of his hard work over the years, and just the literally thousands of kids that he has educated over that time. Our crews have also been busy with quite a few special events. We did the Pinwheels for Peace at Myers Elementary on September 11th. We participated with that with the police department. They do that program every year, just kind of try to educate their kids about it, and they ask us and get involved, and it's a really nice service, and they do a really good job there for that. We also did a touch a truck for autism over at Skate World. And then along with several football games we stood by for, we had the honor of giving several members of the football team and the cheerleading squad rides for the homecoming parade. So that all went pretty well. And then I'd just like to finish up by just saying a job well done to everybody for fire prevention. The 2 weeks we do that is quite busy. This year we had to do some extra training too along with it. So the crews were kept busy all day long, and then having lunch with the kids, and you know, that's not a relaxing lunch for them. So they're on the go the whole time. So they all did a good job. We also had our annual open house on Saturday. That went well, and I just want to thank the public for coming out and having a good time. And fortunately, it was a beautiful day out. So we had the bay doors open, and everybody seemed to enjoy. Any questions? All right.
Thanks, Randy. Superintendent Reeder?
Hello, everyone. That was a nice, warm day today, 85 degrees. I'm hoping that the next couple of weeks cool down a little bit. So, but anyways, just to hit some of the highlights on the report that I sent you earlier, we had 1,307 drive-ins to the street department this week, or this last month, which was like almost record-breaking. You know, everyone's, I don't know what they're doing. They're bringing us grass clippings, leaves, limbs, some trash, so it's been quite busy. Just on the street side, we're doing some minor road patching being conducted. Our paint striping, we did about 8.6 miles of paint striping this year. It was about 850 gallons of paint that we put on Portage's roads. We're gearing up for leaf season once again. I did send a policy, so if anyone's interested in emailing that out and sharing that with the public, we're going to post that on Facebook as well. I just want to remind the public that our leaf zones are not the trash days. There are actual plow zones. So when you do call and says, hey, where are you at in our leaf zones? Once we start leaves, we could give you a zone in a particular area in the city that we're at. But we'll always communicate that on our Facebook page. We've been going through we've been going through mailboxes throughout the city, and some of them are being held up by duct tape and bungee cords, and they're on their last leg of, they've been there for 20, 30 years, and so we're going to send out a communications letter to some of those residents with those type of mailboxes, just saying, hey, let's fix up your mailbox, strengthen it for the winter season, because that snow coming off the plow will knock it down. And then you will be calling the street department. And I sent you a letter back in October, I'm going to remind them, and a picture was taken that you were to repair your mailbox. So those things are costly. Our ordinance allows up to $175 for replacement, but if you're trying to put us on the hook because your mailbox is 20 years old and it's on its last leg, please fix it. So with winter coming, we did go in on the salt bid for the state, and I did send you the tonnage. We got a tonnage of $72.93 a ton. I did send out a history of what we've been doing through the past year, so that gives you a good example of what we do every year. We average throughout the last 10 years, we've averaged $264,000 just in road salt for the city of Portage, so that's a lot. Some people have been asking me this question. How many plow trucks do we have? We have 8 large CDL plows and 5 mid-size plows, so a total of 13 for the 156 miles of road that we have for Portage. So, for sanitation, with the help of Drive Clean Indiana, through NERPC, we got a NOFA grant project for improving sanitation, buying equipment. Part of that grant, I'll tell you the total project was a little over $6.8 million that we obtained through the NOFA grant. The grant request amount is just short of $5.5 million. So it's a great opportunity to improve the equipment of sanitation. We are going CNG. I did set a schedule for the years, so that was just approved this past July, and it extends into 2028. And we were able to order 4 brand-new trucks. They're gonna take about 12 to 18 months to get here, so we're looking at probably the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, when those trucks arrive. So that's the end of my report. Anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.
That's awesome. Diane, did you have anything you wanted to bring up about the parks, or my favorite place?
Good evening. For personnel, we did actually hire our sports director, so I'm hoping to get him started in about 3 weeks. Yeah, very exciting. It took a little bit longer than expected, but we were very excited. I wanted to make sure that I did thank the RDC because they have agreed to fund the position, and especially wanted to thank Commissioner Ralph Munt, who helped me with the interviewing process. It was great to have somebody from the RDC there as we're choosing the right person, and since the RDC is funding them, it was the right fit, and so, yay, that's exciting. Maintenance, I know I contacted you all before, but I was just gonna remind everybody that the Woodland Park sign did get installed on Friday, so it did take some, I know. It took some time with insurance, and then also they had to do a total rebuild, landmark sign, so that's what took a little bit longer, but it looks great and hopefully stays that way for a very long time. Also, along with landmark signs, they did replace the Prairie Duneland sign that also got installed. I think that was on Thursday. So that one got installed on Thursday. That's the one that hits Chesterton, that border right there. Next up, we're going to be doing the long process of winterizing the parks. When I mean that, I mean the irrigation systems, the outdoor restrooms, and the water fountains. So that process is going to start right now, but expect by the end of October that those meters will be pulled and all those things will be closed. So, you know, as you start, if you're going along the trails, the restrooms will start to get closed, like on Prairie Duneland and things like that, because we got to get it all winterized by the end of October. So October for programs is a busy month. So first thing we have is this Saturday, we have our Harvest Festival. That is at Founder Square from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. There'll be over 60 vendors, food trucks, live music, and pony rides. So it's going to be a nice day for that. Also, we are host to city events, as we always are, but upcoming is the Light Up the Gourds, which is next Saturday, October 14th. It's the city's 4th annual Light Up the Gourds. It is at Imagination Glen West for an illuminated walking trail, so you'll see lighted up pumpkins and scenes. The event starts at 6:30, but there is a 5 to 6 sensory and senior hour, so if you want to go with the not when it's not dark, or you're worried about safety or tripping, or you have little ones, you can go between 5 and 6. This is also kind of my notice to the trail users. I believe setup for that event's going to start around noon. So if you are using the trail that day on Iron Horse, you're going to see some, you know, people setting up for the event that night. Also, October is host to our biggest program, which is our Haunted Hayrides. That's going to be Thursday, October 19th through Saturday, October 21st. Hayrides start at 6:30 and will run till capacity. We're definitely changing the verbiage this year, not saying 6:30 to 9, because when we're at capacity, we're at capacity. So the line opens at 5 p.m., so come early, especially if the weather is nice. Especially if the weather's nice one day and not the other days. Definitely come early so you can get on the hayride. We will give updates on Facebook if we're going to be at capacity and have to shut down for that night. We'll put it on Facebook. And lastly, for October, we're going to have a free movie night at Woodland Park at Oakwood Hall, October 29th at 5 p.m., watching Hocus Pocus. We'll be using the new movie screen that we acquired from the help of RDC, so come out for a free movie night, Hocus Pocus. Lastly, for athletics, fall sports are happening right now, but we're already planning for next year. We might even open registration for Cal Ripken as early as December and January, so that's exciting. And then, of course, with the new sports director, maybe we'll get some winter programming happening, and why we all have cabin fever, so I'm hopeful, but that's kind of everything I have for the parks right now. Any questions? Okay. All right, thank you.
And I just want to say, we've been able to help the parks, the redevelopment commission, and this is what happens when you have a healthy redevelopment commission and you use your money wisely, because we have been able to help our departments that have issues and need extra money, so.
They give it,
I'm so
I
happy
spend
to
it.
See some of the things that you've been able to do. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We're very grateful, thank you.
Did I miss anybody? No, Tracy and Connor. So Tracy, do you want to come up?
Good evening. So the plant's doing great. We're doing really good. We had a pre-bid meeting last week with contractors, if they wanted to walk around to see the clarifier project, the solar, and the screen to get an idea of what they would be bidding on. The bids do open this Thursday during the sanitary board meeting, so fingers crossed. We had a few contractors come, so we're excited, but not as many as I had hoped for. So hopefully all goes well at our opening of our bids. We are going forward with the SRF loan, so there's been lots of planning on that and meetings. And the closing, they did lengthen it from Thanksgiving to about the 29th of December is when we're looking at closing now. So getting close to the end of the year, but that's when their quarter ends, so they want to get everything finished by then. I'm sure we'll be trucking right along with it, and we'll be able to close no problem with that. But the plant's been running really good. We're doing a lot of the winter type activities right now, getting ready for it with all the employees. Right now is a lot of different conferences and stuff like that. WebTech was today, so me and a bunch of the operators went, and the maintenance, to look at the solar panels options. We have some of the screen options, stuff like that, kind of get an idea. It's huge. It's in McCormick Place, and it's huge. But it was a good time and a lot of education. There's also furthering education that me and the operators will be attending in Indianapolis at the end of the month for a microscopy microbiology class. It'll be a 2-day class, and I'm really excited about it. There's lots to learn when it comes to that, and keeping the plant healthy, and the microbiology is the #1 thing to do that. So, any questions?
So did you recently have a confined space training too?
We did that a couple months ago, yes, we had a confined space, and we're gonna do a more detailed confined space. We did it with Alliance. Alliance is gonna bring out a contractor to set up the confined space so that our guys will be able to practice retrievals. So yes, we just completed that with both field and the plant.
That's great news, Tracy. I'm excited for our plant because those clarifiers are 43 years old, and we're finally going to get them replaced. We actually have 6, so we're replacing 4, but that's a big thing for us. We need to do that, and to get solar into the plant will be a significant savings. Our plant electric bills are about $50,000 a month. So to be able to knock at least 30% off of that with the solar field is really awesome. So
Yeah, so we'll start out with the 30%, and like we said, if we can add by adding it on roofs or anywhere else, we are all for it. There's lots of exciting, we saw some solar that was even on water, that they placed solar panels on water. So it's very interesting. We've got lots of space over there that we can utilize for that. And anything we can do, we just don't want to go too far off the grid because you don't get the credits back from NIPSCO. So we want to keep it where we're at most 30%, maybe breaking even at the end.
Yeah.
But it's great technology, and I'm really excited about it, and it's going to work out really good for the plant.
So the other thing is, I know you worked with Commonwealth, who is doing our clarifiers.
Yes.
And they made a wonderful video. It's from the minute you enter the plant till you exit the plant of how that entire plant operates. And we are going to post that on our government page. It's maybe, 5 minutes long?
5 minutes
But
long.
it's absolutely fascinating to see the various steps that the wastewater goes through to become clean water. So
Yes.
we viewed that last week, and we're going to be posting that on our government page. So be sure you watch that. It's really interesting.
Yeah, they did a very good job with
They
it. Walking through, we were able to hit every aspect of the plant. And so, yeah, anyone who wants to learn anything about our plant, more than welcome to come visit me. I will give a tour. I mean, if you can take the smell for a good 30, 40 minutes, I'll give you a quick tour. But you can also watch the video to get an idea of what we do every day.
That was great. Tracy took our youth commission through there. Thanks to Norma setting them up and having them go through that to see what happens in the city that you don't usually think about. And so after they got done gagging and choking, they were really impressed with what happens. And they look at that whole system a lot differently now. So it was a good experience.
Yes, but anyone, if anyone wants to bring their kids, I mean, anything, we're happy to have anyone come down.
Yeah, I've done that tour twice, and it's much more enjoyable with the kids.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
You got a lot going on out there. And Connor, who is the president of our youth commission.
Good evening. So the Youth Commission's actually met quite a few times since I last spoke up here. We've met 3 times. And over the course, we are planning to attend the Harvest Fest, have a little table there I cannot speak, where we want to collect pet supplies and donate them back to shelters. So that way pets who are currently in shelters are better off when they leave, hopefully. We'll also be having like a little bit of a recruitment part of our booth too, where we'll be giving up pamphlets of information to people who are interested in joining. We'll have the pet drive at Harvest Fest, and we'll be giving out pamphlets at Light Up the Gourds. And I think that is about all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
You're doing a great job. Thanks,
Thank you.
Connor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I miss anybody now? If not, we have no unfinished business, so we're moving right on to new business. President Podgorski.
The 2024 budget, Scott, will you take that, please?
Yes, I will. So this is Form 3 that we have to present every year. I'm going to read that notice to taxpayers, and I will read the fund names and the budget estimate. Notice is hereby given to taxpayers of Portage Civil City, Porter County, Indiana, that the proper officers of Portage Civil City will conduct a public hearing on the year 2024 budget. Following this meeting, any 10 or more taxpayers may object to a budget, tax rate, or tax levy by filing an objection petition with the proper officers of Portage Civil City, not more than 7 days after the hearing. The objection petition must identify the provisions of the budget, tax rate, or tax levy to which taxpayers object. If a petition is filed, Portage Civil City shall adopt with the budget a finding concerning the objections in the petition and testimony presented. Following the aforementioned hearing, the proper officers of the Portage Civil City will meet to adopt the following budget. So the first fund name is 0005 Casino Riverboat, which is 0 budget estimate. 061 Rainy Day, also 0 budget estimate. 0101 General Fund, $24,421,017. Fund 0180 Debt Service, $401,925.
0182, bond number 2, $1,121,665. 0183, bond 3, $315,397. 0254, local income tax, $3,720,657. 0341, fire pension, $850,000. 0342, police pension, $800,000. Insurance, $275,000. 0706, local road and street, $693,260. 0708, motor vehicle highway, $4,072,185. 0720, major moves, toll road counties, 0. 1110, fire equipment, $445,000. 0301, park and recreation, $1,700,230. 2202, building demolition, $75,000. 2379, cumulative capital cigarette tax, $375,000. 2391, community capital development, $975,000. 2430, redevelopment, general, $3 million. 2431, redevelopment capital, $12 million. 6402, trash sanitation operating, $3,008,335. Fund 9500, local law enforcement continuing education, $160,000. Fund 9501, park non-reverting, 0. 9502, sidewalk waiver, $90,000. 9503, wheel/excise tax, $79,613. 9504, port authority, $29,000. 9505, park and recreation impact fee, $317,050. 9506, marina operating, $658,170. 9507, wheel tax, $1,009,655. 9508, ARP fund, $30,000. 9509, motor vehicle highway restricted, $2,705,000. 9510, corporation bond number 2, proceeds, $502,000. 9511, bond 3, proceeds, $2,860,000, for a total of $66,690,159. Let the record reflect that this notice to taxpayers, Form 3, has been read in its entirety.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak for the budget? Anyone here to speak for the budget? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the budget? Is there anyone here to speak against the budget? Is there anyone here to speak against the budget? Is there anyone here to speak against the budget? I declare the public hearing closed.
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to thank Clerk Treasurer Ninas for preparing this document. Thank you very much.
So we have the introduction and adoption of ordinances.
Ordinance 23-9, additional appropriation. Colin, would you take that, please?
Sure. Additional appropriation, ordinance number 23-9, whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget. Now therefore, Section 1 be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named, and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Fund name 2209, local option income tax. Supplies, 200 series, 150,000. Other services and charges, 300 series, 150,000. Total for lit fund, 300,000. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Nina, I think we did this as a first reading. Yeah, but we hadn't done the second. Okay.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have first reading of ordinance 2312.
Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was originally appropriated in the annual budget, now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained, resolved by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to laws governing the same. Fund name 2256, opioid settlement unrestricted. Personal services, 100 series, amount requested $92,941.08. Total unrestricted, $92,941.08. Fund name 2257, opioid settlement restricted. Other services and charges, 300 series, $225,163.09. Total restricted, $225,163.09. Let the record reflect it has been read. Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have motion and a second to suspend. Is there any discussion?
Nina, you just want to just do a quick.
This was just from the opioid settlement funds that we received. It requires an additional appropriation since it wasn't included in the budget.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Nina, quick question. The 92,941, that's the social worker salary and benefits?
Okay, ordinance 23-13, amending the City of Portage responsible bidding practices and submission requirements on public works projects.
Brian, would you take that, please?
Yes, I will. We already have this ordinance on the record, and so we're just making a few changes. I'll read through those, and then we have Marcy here from the Foundation for Fair Contracting that can kind of give us a little explanation on why these changes are necessary. So ordinance number 23-13, an ordinance to amend the city's responsible bidding practices and submission requirements on public work projects. Section A, bid submission requirements. Contractors proposing to submit bids to any City of Portage or related city entity project estimated to be at least $150,000 or amount specified under the Indiana bidding statute in order to be considered responsible bidder. Prior to the opening of bids, submit a statement made under oath and subject to perjury of laws on a form designated by the city must include, and we're also amending number 5 under that, evidence of participation in apprenticeship training programs applicable to the work to be performed on the project, which are approved by and registered with the the United States Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship or its successor organization, and evidence of any applicable apprenticeship program has graduated at least 5 apprentices in each of the past 5 years for each of the construction crafts the bidder will perform on the project. Evidence of graduation rates are not required for apprenticeable crafts dedicated exclusively to the transportation of material and equipment to and from the Public Works project. Let the record reflect it's been read in its entirety.
Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have motion and a second to suspend. I think Marcy's going to take now. Oh, we have to suspend first. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, council members. Thanks for the opportunity to come and speak to you tonight regarding the amendments. My name is Marcella Kunstak, was a lifelong resident here, recently moved out, would like to come back at some point. The reason I'm here tonight is the City of Portage passed a responsible bidder ordinance in 2015. Since then, there have been some changes in the construction climate, and we feel like these changes need to be taken to the communities that were responsible enough to adopt this policy. The first change would be found in Section 1 under bid submission. I think Colin might have to kind of guide us with the changes in the numbers. This is a simple amendment to the verbiage that we are suggesting. It simply means that the state of Indiana should ever raise their threshold of $150,000 or lower it, your RBO will still be in effect, and it will naturally fluctuate with the state bidding law. So therefore, we won't have to make any changes to that going forward.
Marcy, real quick, are we expecting a change? Do we think the state might up that given where costs are? Have you heard anything about that?
It hasn't changed, so we're hopeful that it will not, but you just never know, you know? So we're at least getting, you know, preparing our communities in the event that it does happen. The second change is going to be in Section 1, letter E. Colin might have a different, and this is.
Number 5.
Yeah, this is bidding submission requirements for participation in apprenticeship training programs applicable to the work being performed on the project. So this requires evidence that the apprenticeship program has graduated at least 5 apprentices in the past 5 years for each craft engaged in the project. The language simply details the process and the benefits twofold. First, it defines actual participation of an apprenticeship program in detail, eliminating a non-responsible contractor, for example, from joining a co-op membership that is part of an apprenticeship program on paper, but the non-responsible contractor does not actually have trained or skilled apprentices. Second, this change is to promote workforce development in our community and hopefully to increase the opportunity for young men and women in Portage to train and work as skilled tradespersons. The state and federal government encourage and have programs to promote workforce development. The construction trades workers have completed rigorous training, some over 6,000 hours on the job and over 150 hours in the classroom. And we like to consider this the gold standard in job training. By defining graduation requirements in the RBO, you're helping to ensure you identify to the most responsible contractors bidding on your projects, as well as help promote the type of workforce development infrastructure envisioned for Indiana, not to mention the economic impact of a local workforce. So thank you.
I'll just say, Marcy came to us last month with these changes. Portage was the first, maybe second. I'm starting to question
Very
whether we were the
close.
first. We were the first or second to do this in 2015. It was in response to the state eliminating common construction wage. Do you want to talk a little bit, it would, just because I think none of us were on the council when this was originally passed.
Yeah, we, unfortunately, they removed the law of common construction wage, and so in order to try to ensure that we had a good quality workforce and that we're following the rules, they came up with the Building Trades, Construction Advancement Foundation, and then the FFC. They came up with this document, and it has been very positive and actually been accepted, has been passed by 63 communities, including school districts and municipalities as well. So it's been very positive and not cumbersome in any way. So thank you. Any other questions?
How have we been on compliance? I know you work a lot with community development on public works projects.
Well, I can say, Mayor, that your administration and your department heads have been quite remarkable to work with. You know, I have constant communication with Public Works and Sandy, Daniel, and just different questions that I might have, and they're just very quick to respond, very quick to answer questions, and contact if they need help with compliance. You know, it's been pretty remarkable, so kudos to you all. Kudos to Portage. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions from the council? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Marcy, for explaining that to us.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, we have petitions, remonstrances, and public input. So at this time, if the public would like to come forward and speak to the council, please state your name and your address, and please keep your comments to 2 minutes.
Mayor Sue, City Council people. I have a quick presentation I'd like to jointly share. Hopefully you can afford us 4 minutes since we're both Portage citizens. My name is Carl Simpson, 6864 Cactus Avenue. I can.
Well, that's going to take a while. You're going to show it there.
My name is Rick Miazga, 5334 Stone Avenue, lifelong Portage resident.
That one's going to work before this.
So I have a handout. I don't know if you're interested in looking at it now or if I should just leave it for you.
You can hand it out and they'll just pass it down, that's okay.
All the information's in one binder, but in reference
Okay.
to this master plan that the authority man was talking about.
Okay.
In such this document, we're going to just start the thing and I'll have them. Well, first off, Carl, if I may, I find it a little interesting that Mr. Nelson should tout the pros versus the against on the proposed fishing pier, and I'm pretty sure I know why. Oh, sorry. Yeah, are we getting me now? All right. I'm pretty sure I know why. This is a copy of what was in the newspaper. This was the only notice that we were given as citizens of our great city. Now, back in January, when this proposal first hit our desk, we had a similar turnout at this meeting. A lot of the same faces are here tonight that were here then. And at that meeting, Mr. Nelson made a motion to limit the public input time to 2 minutes, which we understand. Everybody has an agenda. We need to get this out. But I find it interesting that one of his only claims that he made was to show a 9-to-1 pro versus con, when I can tell you that I know why. We didn't get the information. It was not in the minutes. The following week, or following month, we had a similar turnout, and nobody was allowed to speak. So, after hearing about it back in February of 2023, little or no details were provided, no answers were given to any of those concerned voters and citizens of our great city. No plans or drawings were shared, no timelines were shared, and nothing was posted for the open public. It was buried in the newspaper, the article that I showed you in the binder that you have here. The City Council met on September 5th, and Mr. Alvarez, I believe, was mentioning that the Port Authority may ask for ARPA funds. I don't know if that's true or not, but the way I understood it, back again into their notes, they were not going to ask for ARPA funds, as those funds would not be able to be used in matching grant funds for the grant that they were applying for. So, on the Port Authority meeting September 14th, it was finally mentioned that it's open for public comment. That's the first time it hit the Port Authority minutes that this was open for public comment, and we had exactly 6 weekdays to come up with our responses, versus, I don't know how he got the information out on the other side, but we had 8 total days, calendar days, 6 weekdays. And I'm curious, was the council aware of these details? Okay, I didn't think you were. I want to preface that I'm not citing any of my own personal opinions. I want to present facts, because everything that I'm going to show you today, I found the information in public record. And a lot of the information that we're going to share with you today, I believe you don't know. And I really respect your work. I know your work is a difficult one. You make tough decisions all the time, and this is going to be another one. But I want to make sure you have the information that I have, that we know for a fact, to directly dispute what they're trying to do at the Port Authority. Go ahead, Carl.
Ferdinand, I may, you told the council. When you told them that the Port Authority may be coming to ask for funds, were you aware that their public notice was already available to see? So you could see the details of what the $700,000 was going to go for? And I don't want to put you on a point, but that would have been a great time to at least bring it up. Had you known that, it would have been a very good time to make your fellow council people and the public aware that it was there. Thank you. Moving forward, in January 2022, the marina completely froze over due to lack of maintenance. A concerned boater sent me this video, which is the reason I started visiting the marina every week, taking photos for the next 4 months. What I saw,
This is the trash can at the fishing pier. It was full January through April. As you can see, these are different months. The same trash is there. No trash was picked up. Same thing, fishing pier. Once again, full January through April. I visited the marina again last winter, the same thing. This time I noted it from November through April. No trash was picked up. So putting another fishing pier in, another point, we're just going to get this again. These are pictures of the current fishing pier as it was this past spring. It needs cleaned, boards replaced. There's loose boards, erosion, trash. This is what you're going to being asked to duplicate at another position.
I don't think the council's being asked for money, right? I think you're at the wrong board.
Correct. It was made, the decision was made to go a different route than asking the council for ARPA funds, and it seems that the project will go forward in a different way.
We don't dispute that we need those ARPA funds. Our marina is in disrepair currently, and we can sorely use those funds and then some to get anywhere near, and I'm not gonna interrupt this.
Please continue with your public comments, sir. Thank you.
I just need you to understand that this council is not a voting body on that, so you're really at the wrong place.
Well, last month, Ferdinand said he was going to come to the council to ask for money.
There was a newspaper
That's-
article that was,
But they took another route, and there are no ARPA funds available, right, Nina?
Well,
There are no ARPA funds available.
there are no ARPA funds
They're
available.
in the general fund.
Okay.
Yes.
Right, so.
We took
So any
whatever
maintenance-
exception it was called, the $10 million exception,
So any
they all
maintenance
became
to-
revenue replacement funds.
Any maintenance to be done at the Portage Public Marina will come out of the Port Authority funds, then not your bucket of money, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
The marina has a budget, the Port Authority has a budget. They're
Right.
funded by the revenue generated by the marina and the Port Authority.
Correct, okay.
Thank you.
There's no ask currently in front of this board.
Okay.
Okay, that-
Okay, and then
That's
I
great.
would like to, it would be interesting to know where they're coming from, because
So-
there was a letter that was sent to the, be able to say that these funds are available. The Port Authority signed a letter saying these funds are available. There's not funds in either one of the two funds that you mentioned, the Port Authority or the Marina Fund. So where these additional funds are coming from, that would be nice to know.
So, if I can ask, we'll be on 2 minutes, 4 minutes, but can this be can we put them on the agenda for a future meeting? I mean, I want to be, if there are others with comments, I don't want to belabor this when we don't have answers.
I think what's probably a good idea is I think there's some confusion here because of your belief that there's going to be an ask or there's an ask currently in front of this board, and there's not. But what I would suggest perhaps is you can meet with a couple of the council members, you can get kind of updated on where things are at. If you're asking where the money is going to be requested to be coming from, that's probably a question for the Port Authority board. You can ask them at the Port Authority, you're on the board.
Right.
But at this point, there's no, the notion of the ARPA funds, as I said at the Port Authority meeting, and I've said here, we got to quit using the term ARPA funds, because we went to the revenue replacement, and it's into the general fund. So it would require a different approach. And so I would be a normal budget appropriation. So I believe that the Port Authority now needs to reconsider its approach into where it would ask for those funds from, but there are no ARPA funds. So if you're thinking you're coming to give a presentation to get some input on the use of the ARPA funds by this body, there's no ask.
Okay, we understood, but as of the last meeting, and there was a report in the newspaper that Ferdinand said the Port Authority might be coming to ask for funds. So that's one of the reasons why we're here.
No, totally understood. But I think, Carl, that Ferdinand's indicating to you that since that time and now, things have changed.
Okay.
Thank you, Attorney Wood.
If you can, yeah, I don't want to beleaguer this. We will meet individually and find out where it is. And as you stated, I am part of the Port Authority Board. One thing we wanted to bring up, there was a master plan done. This plan, master plan was done 6 years ago. And if you look at it, we've got copies of it here, it's published. All the necessary details on what needs to be updated at the current fishing pier to make it ADA compliant are there. The reason I'm showing this picture right here, this is a clean marina sign that was actually laid on the ground for 10 months. It was moved when we repaved the parking lot. When we repaved the parking lot, that was one of the largest expenses that was necessary to be able to move forward with ADA, making our existing pier ADA compliant. So I put that here. The proposed new fishing pier is over $700,000. The current fishing pier could be made ADA compliant for a fraction of that cost. So where the funds are coming from, hopefully people are looking at it. Right now there's a picture of what the current fund is. With the repaving on there, there are handicap parking spots, there are ramps. This dock was originally built ADA compliant, then there were some changes. And in the master plan that we did, they outlined everything that we needed to do. It was really very minimal. But unfortunately, instead of the marina following this plan that we paid $100,000 for, they did a very good study. Now we're spending $700,000 for a completely new fishing pier at a different location, which means this is going to continue to fall into disrepair. As for alternative purposes for that land, the existing land that was mentioned next to Isaac Walton, per Fire Chief Randy Wilkening and members of the dive team, this would be a great location to store dive team equipment and be the assembly point to initiate dive team missions. Quote, this location will reduce response time for our dive team. So there are other uses for that land. We shouldn't be just trying to force that in there. Also, there are plenty of other existing
Yeah, I mean, lots of other existing ADA fishing piers locally up and down the waterfront. So why here, why now? And there's certain people that it's like a pet project of theirs, and we're trying to figure out how it hits our desk where we have to pay for this, because we're not getting what we pay for now when it comes to the maintenance of our marina. We love our marina. We love Portage. We know you do too. And we want you guys to pay attention to see what's going on right now, because they're jamming an agenda, and it's under the waving the flag of the Americans with the disabilities. I find it reprehensible, because I can prove to you, if you read inside this document from their $100,000 assessment, it was advised by our friends at Avon Marsh, who I saw on the easel as I walked in, that we should get to be ADA compliant as soon as possible, and we have done nothing. Currently, the Portage Public Marina is 0% ADA compliant when it comes to the height of the water bibs, when it comes to the ramps and the slats, when it comes to the slope of some of the grade, when it comes to all of these, the lighting, it's 0% ADA compliant. And to try and push an ADA agenda, because that's what you're grant qualified for, and spend my money, our money, to try and push this new agenda to get your name on a plaque, doesn't cut it with me. We need that money to maintain what we've got, and I urge you all to come take Fire Protection Month. Thank you again for bringing that up. Time out, Fire Protection Month.
Listen, this board doesn't have,
Okay.
you're asking for money, and this board doesn't have an ask in front of it.
There's no fire protection on FDOT currently.
I understand, but I really think those comments are right for the Port Authority board.
Well, I want to make sure that you guys know this information should they ever do come to you for money for this.
If I may, just briefly, gentlemen, as the liaison to the Port Authority and as a fellow member, Carl and Attorney Whitten, these are conversations that have been had at the Port Authority level. I'm sure Attorney Whitten can attest to that. And much as this council, at times, people get outvoted. And it seems that the majority of the votes on the Port Authority have decided to move forward with this project, and here we are.
But where is the money coming from? If you're not
Thank you
giving
for
it
your
to them
public
and
comments.
they don't have it in their funds, where's the money coming from?
You'll need to ask the Port Authority
Oh,
board
well,
what they're gonna do.
it seemed very congratulatory in this council when he made his announcement tonight. It seemed like it, well, we have to match that grant with 25%. Where's that money coming from? Well, last I heard, they were coming to you, and I want to make sure you know the
They
information.
have not
They
come
are
to
not
us yet.
coming
Not come
Okay.
to us.
to
And
this
if
body.
And if it's a grant money, that grant's going to be for a specific project, which is, I mean, you can ask any of our other departments, there's never any grants to maintain what we already have.
Totally
which is
understand that. Well, I'm saying
sorely
even
unfortunate
just
that I
our
hate about
portion
government.
of that grant would be far better spent getting us ADA compliant on what we have.
Okay, I'm going to call this because this body can't make a decision. I apologize that you took time to come here because there are no ARPA funds for this project. Why are
urge you to
we
look at the
seeing
information.
this on here? Carl, could you please close that off? Shut that off, please. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak to the council? Please state your name, your address, and we're trying to limit people to 2 minutes, although I feel that the previous people took more time than they were allowed.
William Dean McBrayer, 6871 Prairie Run Avenue. I'll make this short. Steve Nelson came here with a few facts. I know he came here with congratulations about his project of the fishing pier. He only tells one side of it. Once again, it's half-sided, but, you know, where are the other half of the funds coming from, or the other 25%? We are all taxpayers here. I've been a boater on this river or on the ditch for 23 years. I pay my slip fee in the Portage Marina for the last, I don't know, 15 years. I pay for that marina. I love that marina. We got 300 and some odd $1,000 in that fund. I don't want to see it evaporate to pay for a fishing pier. The fishermen aren't going to pay for 1 penny of that fishing pier. The fishermen aren't going to pay for 1 penny of that fish cleaning station. It's us boaters that are paying for all of it. Now, it's the city council and the mayor who puts all those board members in those positions. So you guys are responsible for them.
Well, I'm gonna say that's not true. You're not responsible for
Oh,
everything.
no, you are. It says it right on their page. It says it right on their page that they are all in place at the mayor's.
We appoint board members to every board. I mean, are you suggesting that we just remove members at will based on
No, I'm
what we
not
feel
saying
should
that.
happen?
I'm saying they are all in position at the mayor's appointment, and they are all directed.
And they all,
Board
if I'm
members-
correct, they have terms, right, Dan?
No.
Yes.
Go read their vision statement. Go read what it says on their page. I'm not lying.
I mean, we appoint members to the plan commission, they have terms, we appoint members to other board, the park board, they have terms. To suggest that we just tell them how to vote, then what's the point of having a port authority? We should just be in charge. That's not how this system is designed under state statute.
You guys are elected, and they
Okay,
vote
sir,
on the board and
sir,
give direction.
sir. First off, when I came on, all of the board members were in place. And I believe that I only replaced, I think I put Carl Simpson back on. But all the other ones' terms have not even come up yet. So I think that's going down the wrong alley. I see you're upset about this. I understand, but we up here have not been involved in that discussion, and that is to be taken before the Port Authority. So I would suggest that you go to their meeting. They have their own budget.
I go to their meetings. They've been very secretive. Matter of fact, Barb Lusko, at this meeting 1 month ago, stood up and said, I have nothing for you, and sat back down. She's had nothing to report for you guys. And that was a lie, because at that time, Americo had the survey out in the newspaper.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's
It
fair to
is
sit
fair.
here and say that Barb Lusko lied. That is not true. Barb Lusko did not have something to report to this board. That is an unfair thing to say about Barb. She's a friend of mine.
She's a friend of mine too. I've known Barb Wesco for 25
Well,
years.
what you're saying doesn't sound like it. So I think there's a bigger issue here. Wait, sir. There's a bigger issue here, and this council is not privy to some of the underlying things that are going on out there at that Port Authority. And so I don't want to hear any more from you. If you have anything to discuss, go to the Port Authority, because their budget is their own budget. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Yes. Please state your name and your address and try to keep it to 2 minutes.
Not a problem. My name is Lou T-Rock, 3478 Debbie Lane, Portage. I'm just wondering, I've been waiting for the first reading on ordinance 23-13, which involves Sandy Trail, and it looked like we skipped it, or did I miss it?
No, I'm sorry, ma'am. So I received a call from Sandy Trails today, and they were unable to make it today. Their attorney couldn't come in from Indy, so it's being moved to the next meeting.
Oh, all right.
Sorry. It was a late change, actually today.
We're sorry that you were inconvenienced.
All right, so will it be on the agenda next month?
It will be on next month's agenda.
For sure, because that's another problem. I tried for a week to get a copy of the agenda, and it finally came today. So I just wondered.
Well, and I apologize, but their attorney contacted our attorney late in the afternoon.
I'm not arguing it. I'm not arguing that point.
Even this council didn't know that was taken off the agenda till later in the day.
Not a problem. Okay, it will be on next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm just gonna, you probably want to stay here because we're likely moving the November meeting to another date, but we haven't gotten there yet. So I don't want you to leave thinking it's one day and then showing up the wrong day.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council?
What's up?
Hi.
A smiling face.
I'm Jake from the Portage Recovery Association. Went to the Board of Works meeting, as Mr. Witten suggested I do a few weeks back. That was voted unanimously, I believe, to award the PRA some opioid settlement fund, and I'm just here following up. I was told to come back.
Additional today. We just did the additional appropriation today.
Sweet. You got a check for me?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
So then I have to send it off to the DLGF, and it takes at least 15 days.
15. All right. I'll be back. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
No, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? Go ahead.
In regards to Sandy Trail, next month, will there be a public hearing? Will there be an opportunity for the public to speak, or will it just be council motions?
I really can't answer that right now because what are we?
So the public hearing occurs at the Plan Commission level. So there's no statutory requirement for the council here to have a public hearing. I think we're just set for first reading. So it'll just be first reading at the next meeting. Second reading we'll have at the following meeting.
Well, it was very contentious, and it was voted down at the Plan Commission. And so I didn't know if the public would have an opportunity to let the council know how they felt.
We've received a
always
lot
give the
of,
public an opportunity.
Yeah, we're very
to speak.
familiar with the history.
and we've
We
received a lot of what Gina has shared from the Plan Commission about it, so.
All right, thank you.
And typically with anything, the purpose of the first reading and the second reading is so you hear it, and then you have a whole month to reach out to us and voice your opinion, and then we vote at a second reading.
Sure.
That's the reason for that, is to allow for input.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak before the council? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Want to make a motion to move our November meeting from the 8th to the 14th?
I will second that motion.
Or did you make a
And the reason is that there is an election the first week, so normally we usually have it the following week, so we have done that in the past.
Are we all good with the 14th? Yes. Gina?
So we have a motion and a second to move the November meeting to the 14th. Is there any further discussion? Scott, did you have anything?
No, I just don't think Mike will be here, but that should.
You just have to be at the December meeting, so we can recognize you after 8 years of long service, Scott.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. May-
Motion to
may-
adjourn.
Mayor,
Motion to
if-
adjourn.
Mayor, if I may.
All
if
in
I-
favor signify by saying aye. Wait.